From a young age, everyone who knew Daniel Reed recognized he was no ordinary child. Born in a small Welsh town, nestled between rolling hills and misty valleys, Daniel showed an uncanny aptitude for mathematics and puzzles that left even the most seasoned educators speechless. By the tender age of 7, he was solving complex equations that most university students would struggle with. His parents, Dr. Ewan Reed and Dr. Meredith Reed, both respected professors at the local university, nurtured their son's prodigious talents with a mixture of pride and bewilderment. Daniel's childhood was far from typical. While other children played football in the streets or chased each other through the local park, young Daniel could often be found hunched over a chessboard playing against himself or scribbling intricate mathematical formulas on any available surface. His bedroom walls were adorned not with posters of pop stars or athletes, but with complex geometric designs and cryptographic puzzles of his own creation. At school, Daniel was an enigma. His teachers, initially excited by the prospect of nurturing such a brilliant mind, soon found themselves out of their depth. By the age of 12, Daniel had exhausted the entire mathematics curriculum of his secondary school. His parents, recognizing the need for greater intellectual stimulation, arranged for him to take advanced courses at their university. It was during these university lectures that Daniel's true passions began to crystallize. Cryptography, the art and science of secure communication, captivated him like nothing else. He devoured books on the subject, from ancient ciphers used by Julius Caesar to the cutting-edge encryption algorithms used in modern computing. Daniel's mind seemed uniquely suited to unraveling the most complex codes and creating even more intricate ones. By the age of 16, Daniel had mastered complex equations and developed a fascination for puzzles that left his university professors in awe. His parents, while immensely proud of their son's achievements, worried about his social development. Daniel had few friends and showed little interest in typical teenage pursuits. His world was one of numbers, codes, and abstract concepts. At 18, Daniel shattered academic records by earning a first-class honors degree in applied mathematics from Cardiff University. His thesis on advanced cryptographic protocols caught the attention of academics worldwide. 2 years later, he completed his PhD at the University of Edinburgh, where his groundbreaking work on quantum cryptography attracted admirers from beyond the academic world. Unbeknownst to Daniel, his exceptional skills had not gone unnoticed by Britain's intelligence community. They had long been interested in young prodigies like him, viewing them as potential assets in the ever-evolving world of cybersecurity and international espionage. By the time Daniel was 23, he had caught the eye of GCHQ, the government communications headquarters, known for its cutting-edge work in intelligence and cryptography. Daniel, introverted and intensely private, was initially hesitant when approached by GCHQ recruiters. The idea of working for a government agency, bound by secrecy and bureaucracy, didn't immediately appeal to him. He was in the midst of a postgraduate program at Cambridge, delving deeper into the realm of quantum mathematics, a field he believed held the key to unbreakable encryption. However, the GCHQ offer was too tempting to ignore. They promised him access to the most advanced technology, the opportunity to work on real-world problems with global implications, and the chance to push the boundaries of cryptography further than he ever could in academia. After weeks of internal debate and long discussions with his parents, Daniel made the difficult decision to leave Cambridge and accept the position at GCHQ. The transition from the academic world to the secretive realm of intelligence was not easy for Daniel. He moved into a small, sparsely furnished flat in Cheltenham, a quiet town not far from GCHQ's headquarters. The town, with its Regency architecture and genteel atmosphere, seemed an unlikely hub for cutting-edge espionage technology. Yet, behind the facades of ordinary-looking office buildings, some of the world's most sophisticated intelligence operations were being conducted. Daniel's first few months at GCHQ were a whirlwind of security briefings, training sessions, and increasingly complex assignments. He quickly proved his worth, demonstrating an almost supernatural ability to crack codes that had stumped even the most experienced analysts. His colleagues, many of whom had spent decades in the field, were both impressed and slightly unnerved by the young prodigy in their midst. For the next decade, Daniel worked in near-complete anonymity, a quiet genius in the shadows of international intelligence. He was a brilliant team player, though he rarely socialized outside work. His life fell into a comfortable routine, long days spent poring over encrypted communications, evenings dedicated to personal research, and weekends often spent in solitude, working on mathematical problems for pleasure. Daniel's work at GCHQ was instrumental in securing some of the UK's highest intelligence victories. He developed new encryption methods that safeguarded British diplomatic communications, created algorithms to sift through vast amounts of data to identify potential security threats, and regularly broke into foreign intelligence systems, providing crucial insights into the activities of both allies and adversaries. One of Daniel's most significant achievements came in 2009, when he played a pivotal role in uncovering a sophisticated cyber espionage campaign targeting British defense contractors. His analysis of the malware used in the attacks led to the identification of a state-sponsored hacking group, preventing the theft of sensitive military technology. This operation, while classified, earned Daniel silent accolades within the intelligence community. Despite his professional success, Daniel's personal life remained solitary. His colleagues often invited him to after-work drinks or weekend gatherings, but he politely declined most social invitations. He preferred the company of books, the challenge of unsolved mathematical problems, and the quiet of his own thoughts. The few friends he did make at GCHQ were similarly introverted individuals who respected his need for space and shared his passion for intellectual pursuits. Daniel's parents, while proud of his achievements, worried about his isolation. They visited him in Cheltenham when they could, always leaving with a mixture of awe at their son's brilliance and concern for his apparent loneliness. Daniel assured them he was content, finding fulfillment in his work and his private intellectual explorations. As Daniel's reputation grew within the intelligence community, he began to attract attention from other agencies. In 2011, his exceptional skills caught the eye of MI6, the UK's secret intelligence service. They were so impressed with his brilliance that they offered him a position in their operational team. It was a rare opportunity to become more than just a behind-the-scenes code breaker. This was Daniel's chance to step into the world of covert operations, to become what many in the intelligence world referred to as a real-life James Bond. The offer from MI6 threw Daniel into turmoil. He was comfortable at GCHQ, where his introverted nature and singular focus were accepted and even valued. The idea of fieldwork, of having to interact with assets and navigate the complex social dynamics of international espionage, filled him with apprehension. Yet, a part of him was intrigued by the challenge. Could he, the quiet mathematician, adapt to the high-stakes world of MI6? After weeks of deliberation and lengthy discussions with his superiors at GCHQ, Daniel reluctantly accepted the MI6 offer. His decision was influenced by the argument that his skills could have an even greater impact in the field, directly shaping operations rather than just providing analytical support. With a mixture of excitement and trepidation, Daniel packed up his life in Cheltenham and moved to London to begin his new role at MI6. The transition to MI6 was far more difficult than Daniel had anticipated. From the moment he stepped into the iconic headquarters at Vauxhall Cross, he felt out of place. The world of MI6 was a far cry from the quiet, focused environment of GCHQ. Here, social skills and political acumen seemed just as important as technical expertise. Daniel's new colleagues were a diverse group of individuals, each with their own specialties and backgrounds. There were ex-military personnel with years of fieldwork experience, linguistic experts who could seamlessly blend into any cultural environment, and seasoned diplomats who navigated international politics with ease. Among this group of charismatic and worldly individuals, Daniel felt like an awkward outsider. His first few months at MA5 were a steep learning curve. Daniel had to adapt to a new way of thinking, where human factors and geopolitical nuances were just as important as the hard data he was used to dealing with. He underwent intensive training in fieldcraft, learning everything from surveillance techniques to hand-to-hand combat. While he excelled in the technical aspects of the training, the social and physical elements pushed him far out of his comfort zone. Despite his initial struggles, Daniel's unique skills soon proved invaluable to MA5. His ability to quickly analyze complex data sets and spot patterns others missed made him an asset in planning operations. In one notable instance, Daniel's analysis of seemingly unrelated financial transactions led to the uncovering of a major money laundering operation linked to international terrorism. However, as time went on, Daniel's discomfort with his new role grew. The flashy lifestyles, the internal politics, the competitive pressure to network and attend endless social functions. It was everything he despised. Daniel was a man of solitude who enjoyed his own company and preferred the quiet grind of cracking codes over the cutthroat world of espionage. At GCHQ, no one cared about his reclusive tendencies, but at MA5, his refusal to engage in the social scene made him an outsider. His colleagues, while respectful of his intellect, found him difficult to work with. Daniel struggled to communicate his ideas effectively in group settings and often became frustrated when others couldn't keep up with his rapid-fire thinking. In the field, his lack of social grace and difficulty in reading people made him a liability in delicate situations. As months passed, Daniel's isolation grew, and his unhappiness became all too evident to his closest colleagues. He began to withdraw even further, spending more time alone in his office, immersing himself in complex cryptographic problems as an escape from the social demands of his job. His work, while still brilliant, began to suffer as he struggled to collaborate effectively with his team. Daniel's mental health began to deteriorate. The stress of trying to fit into a world so at odds with his nature took its toll. He suffered from insomnia, often spending nights pacing in his small London flat, his mind racing with equations and codes, seeking solace in the abstract world of mathematics. During the day, he was irritable and distracted, snapping at colleagues and making uncharacteristic mistakes in his work. Concerned about his well-being, Daniel's direct supervisor suggested he take some time off. Initially resistant to the idea, Daniel finally agreed to a 2-week vacation. He planned to visit his parents in Wales, hoping that the familiar surroundings of his childhood home might help him regain some equilibrium. Before leaving for his vacation, Daniel confided in his sister, Sarah, telling her he planned to leave MA5 after his return. He yearned to return to the quiet cerebral world of cryptography at GCHQ. Sarah, worried about her brother's state of mind, urged him to prioritize his mental health and supported his decision to leave MA5. Daniel's vacation started on August 4, 2013. He spent the first week with his parents, trying to relax and disconnect from the pressures of his job. His parents noticed that he seemed distracted and anxious, often lost in thought or working on complex mathematical problems in his old bedroom. They tried to engage him in conversations about his life in London, but Daniel was evasive, bound by the secrecy of his work. On August 11th, Daniel returned to London, telling his family he needed a few days alone to sort things out before returning to work. He assured them he would call once he was back at MA5. This was the last time his family would hear from him. Days passed, and strangely, MA5 made no effort to check on Daniel's whereabouts when he failed to return to work. It wasn't until Sarah called the police on August 25th, after several unanswered messages, that anyone thought to look into his disappearance. On August 29th, a police officer was dispatched to conduct a welfare check at Daniel's London flat. The officer knocked several times, but there was no answer. The landlord, concerned, provided a spare key to the apartment. Inside, everything appeared undisturbed at first glance. The officer called out for Daniel, but the silence was unnerving. The officer made his way upstairs, where a closed door led to the bathroom. When the door swung open, the officer's discovery would soon make international headlines. In the bathtub, inside a large red duffel bag, was the badly decomposed body of Daniel Reed. The bag's zipper had been padlocked from the outside, and the key to that padlock was inexplicably found beneath Daniel's body inside the bag. Stranger still, there were no fingerprints anywhere, not on the zippers, the padlock, the tub, or even the surrounding surfaces. The discovery of Daniel's body set off a firestorm of speculation and a complex, multi-agency investigation. MI6, initially reluctant to acknowledge Daniel's employment publicly, was forced to cooperate with the police investigation, though the extent of their cooperation would later be questioned. Forensic teams combed through Daniel's flat, searching for any clue that might shed light on the circumstances of his death. What they found, or rather what they didn't find, only deepened the mystery. The entire apartment was devoid of fingerprints, as if it had been meticulously cleaned. Even objects that Daniel would have routinely touched, like doorknobs, light switches, and kitchen utensils, were pristine. Daniel's electronic devices provided no answers. His laptop and tablet had been wiped clean, their hard drives overwritten multiple times with random data, making it impossible to recover any information. His smartphone, found on the bedside table, had been reset to factory settings. The autopsy provided more questions than answers. The advanced state of decomposition made it difficult to determine an exact cause of death. There were no signs of external injuries or struggle. Toxicology reports came back negative for drugs or alcohol. The coroner's report stated that Daniel had likely been dead for about 10 days before his body was discovered, placing the time of death around August 18th or 19th. As news of Daniel's death broke, it sparked a media frenzy. The mysterious circumstances, combined with his connection to MI6, led to rampant speculation. Conspiracy theories proliferated online, ranging from foreign assassination to government cover-ups. The investigation took a bizarre turn when it was discovered that the heating in Daniel's flat had been turned up to maximum, despite it being the middle of summer. This had accelerated the decomposition of his body, making it even more difficult to determine the exact circumstances of his death. Investigators were puzzled by this detail. Was it an attempt to obscure evidence, or was there another explanation? Another perplexing aspect of the case was the CCTV footage from Daniel's building. The last confirmed sighting of Daniel alive was on August 18th, when he was seen entering his flat alone. After that, there was no record of anyone entering or leaving the apartment until the police arrived on August 29th. How was it possible that no one had entered the flat, yet Daniel's body was found in such a bizarre and seemingly impossible position? As the investigation progressed, different theories emerged, each more puzzling than the last. One theory suggested that Daniel had fallen victim to a foreign intelligence service, possibly in retaliation for his work at MI6. Just before his death, he had been working on an assignment that delved into Russian money laundering networks in Britain, an investigation that could have made powerful enemies. Supporters of this theory pointed to the professional manner in which the crime scene had been cleaned of forensic evidence. They argued that only a highly trained operative could have carried out such a meticulous operation. However, skeptics questioned why a professional assassin would choose such an elaborate and attention-grabbing method of killing. Another theory, one that gained traction in some circles, was that MI6 itself was somehow involved in Daniel's death. The agency's initial reluctance to acknowledge Daniel as an employee, combined with their seeming disinterest in his disappearance, led some to believe that Daniel had uncovered something he shouldn't have within the organization. A former MI6 agent, speaking anonymously to a journalist, suggested that the lack of forensic evidence at the scene bore the hallmarks of an MI6 cleaning operation. This claim, while unverified, fueled public suspicion and led to calls for a public inquiry into the case. The most controversial theory, and the one that would eventually become the official stance, was that Daniel's death had been a tragic accident. This theory gained credence when investigators uncovered Daniel's internet search history, which revealed visits to various online forums dedicated to escape artistry and escapology. Further investigation into Daniel's background revealed a hobby that few had known about. He had a passing interest in escapology and had even experimented with self-bondage. A former girlfriend came forward revealing that there had been a previous incident where Daniel had to call for help after tying himself to his bed and becoming stuck. Proponents of the accident theory suggested that Daniel might have been attempting an extreme escape challenge, possibly as a way to cope with the stress of his job. And that brings us to the end of this chilling story. Daniel Reed's mysterious death leaves us with more questions than answers. Was he a victim of foul play, tangled in a web of secrets too dangerous to expose? Or did his death result from a tragic accident with bizarre circumstances? We may never know the full truth, but one thing is certain. His story continues to captivate and haunt to this day. What do you think happened to Daniel? Let me know your theories in the comments below. Don't forget to like the video if you found this story intriguing and subscribe for more mysteries, true crime, and unsolved cases just like this. Hit the notification bell so you won't miss our next deep dive into the unknown. Thanks for watching, and stay safe.